What in the, you know what?
Such a pain, you don't.
Community redevelopment.
This is the wrong one. DDB.
Please disregard the notes.
DDB, right?
That's a very good question. But that's, is it DDB first?
This time I'll call to order the July 15, 2024 meeting of the Downtown Development Board. This time I'll move to item 2.1 on the agenda, approval of minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous. This time we'll move to item 2.2 on the agenda, approve the minutes of the June 3, 2024 regular Downtown Development Board meeting.
Move to approve agenda item 2.2.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. This time we'll move to item 3 on the agenda, citizens to be heard regarding items not on the agenda. Are there any citizens here desiring to be heard on items not on the agenda today? Seeing none, move to item 4.1, approve the 2024 DDB financial statement for filing.
Good morning, Jesus Nino for the record, the Executive Director for the Community Redevelopment Agency and Downtown Development Board. This item is item 4.1, ID number 24-0712, approves April 2024 DDB financial statement for filing. I'm going to have Assistant Director Anna Lopez come up and present this particular item in addition to item number 4.2.
Good afternoon, Ann Lopez. The first item that we have before you is the April 2024 DDB financial statement for filing. For the month of April, there were $19,663.51 spent. Those are outlined in your agenda item, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the council? Does anyone here from the public desire to speak to item 4.1? Hearing none, there's the motion to approve.
I make
So
a
moved.
motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. This time we move to item 4.2, approve the May 2024 financial statement for filing.
The May 2024 financial statement for filing, there were $72,142.98 spent for the month of May. Again, those items are outlined in your agenda, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the council? Excuse me, from the board. Anyone here from the public desire to speak to item 4.2? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Move to approve agenda item 4.2.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. This time we move to item 4.3, adopt a tentative millage rate of 0.9700 mils for fiscal year 2024-2025. Set public hearing dates on the budget for September 4, 2024 and September 17, 2024 to be held no earlier than 5:01 p.m.
Thank you again, Jesus Nino for the record. This is to adopt in accordance with the truth in millage trim process of Downtown Development Board. Must adopt a tentative millage rate and set public hearing days prior to finalizing and adopting a budget. This information must be provided to the Pinellas County property appraiser and tax collector by July 30th, 2024. The DDB's Downtown Development Board rate and public hearing dates will be included on the trim notices mailed to the taxpayers in August. On July 1st, 2024, the Pinellas County Property Appraiser's Office provided the 2024 preliminary tax roll. The 2024 total taxable value for the Downtown Development Board is $5,534,989,792. That's an increase of 3.7% from the 2023 taxable value. Staff recommends the same millage of 0.97 mils, the same as the current year. The rate is 5.65% more than the rollback rate of 0.9181 mils. The rollback millage rate that will provide the DDB with the same property tax revenue as was levied in the prior year. If the proposed millage rate of 0.97 is approved, the DDB's resolution adopting the millage rate will reflect an increase of 5.65% from the rollback of 0.9181. Based on the dates provided by Pinellas County Tax Collector's Office, the dates of the public hearing for FY 24-25 budget and millage, the budget and millage will be set for September, public hearing dates for September 4th, 2024, and September 17th, 2024, and no earlier than 5 p.m. basically. With that, staff is recommending your approval.
Yes, Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I think what is the limit on the millage rate for DDB? Is it 1 mil?
That basically is almost a mil. It's 0.97.
No, I mean, I remember it used to be a mil when I was on the DDB, and we dropped it to 0.97. That was 11 years ago,
That is the maximum, yes.
12 years ago? Is that right, 1 mil?
I believe 1 mil is the maximum that could be authorized by the DDB. It is currently set just below it, but 1 mil is the current maximum that's
Wow.
authorized.
So it's been down for
Yeah,
11 or 12 years.
correct.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Are you saying it's been down, it was at 1 mil and you guys lowered it to 0.97?
Well,
12 years
because
ago?
when I was on DDB, went through, like a depression.
Right.
Everything came down, and so we lowered it, but we're just curious to see if it was still low all these years. I know property values have gone up, so that's, it's a good thing.
I do have a question as well. How much money, Ms. Lopez, you might know this, you might too, Ms. Razors, was left over in the DDB account from last year, or is it all spent on all the grants and everything that goes out?
There's going to be a little bit of carryover, but if Ms. Lopez, if you have it here in the financials, I think I saw it in here. Go to that page.
The reason I bring it up is because if it's at 0.7, we're already getting a 3.7% increase. Do we keep it at 0.97 even though times are tough and inflation is still high for everybody else? That's my question.
It's a discretion of the board.
For sure, that's,
City council,
I
basically.
apologize, I was speaking to my board members,
Oh,
yeah.
I would be open to decreasing it if downtown was flourishing more. But because it continues to struggle, I don't want to minimize any tool or remove any tool that we have.
So I'm not talking about minimizing either, but keeping it the same is typically,
Yes.
it would be considered a rollback to keep it at the price it came last year, right? So the same taxable value for the same dollar amount that we got would be the 0.9181, correct?
So if you wanted to keep it to where you receive the same amount, you could go to the rollback. What we're proposing.
Just keep it the
yeah,
same,
is just
but
keep
it does
the-
give that increase
the
in taxable value.
0.9700, which is where
Okay.
we've been at.
Just point it out.
Right.
So, wanted to bring it up.
Any other discussion or questions from the board? Does anyone here from the public desire to speak to item 4.3? Seeing none, is there a motion to adopt?
This on me? I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. It's time to move to item 4.4. Adopt the city Clearwater's investment policy and adopt resolution 24-03.
Thank you. This is basically adopting the city's policy for investments. So the DDB, we basically just go along with what the city does, and if the city amends the policy in any ways, then we also adopt and amend and go in accordance with the city's investment policy. The staff is recommending to move forward.
Any discussion by the board or questions? Anyone here from the public desire to speak to item 4.4? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Motion to approve agenda item 4.4.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. It's time to move to item 5, Director's Report.
Don't really have too much this month, except that the events that occurred recently, staff is conducting lessons learned meetings so we can learn from those events and then potentially make amendments to our internal processes so we can make sure those events get implemented better for the community and for the city. That's the report.
All right, any questions for the director? Okay, with that, we'll move to item 6 on the agenda, and I now adjourn the July 15, 2024 meeting of the City of Clearwater Downtown Development Board. I want us to take just a few minutes recess here before we convene the CRA, so we'll start here in
I think
5 minutes.
I was getting ready to feel bad.
I know.
This time I'll call to order the July 15, 2024 meeting of the Community Redevelopment Agency. This time we'll move to item 2.1 on the agenda, approve the minutes of the June 17, 2024 CRA meeting as submitted in written summation by the city clerk.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. This time we'll move to item 3 on the agenda, citizens to be heard regarding items not on the agenda. At this time, is there anyone here from the public that desires to be heard on an item that is not on today's agenda? Seeing none, we'll proceed to item 4.1. Approve the commercial grant program within the North Greenwood Community Redevelopment Area and authorize the appropriate officials to execute same.
Thank you, Jesus Nino, Executive Director for the Community Redevelopment Agency. Just for the record. Thank you. This is a very exciting grant program that we're hopefully implementing if approved today. The purpose of this is to request approval from the trustees here for their approval of the North Greenwood Commercial Grant Program. This is for the CRA area. This program came about from interviews with some of the community members out there in the North Greenwood area, plus in addition to kind of talking to some of the council members here. In addition to, this is to implement our community redevelopment area plan. So this program isn't anything that we're creating from scratch. It's something that the community has already kind of vetted out and provided an idea for us to just kind of put onto paper. So this program is for, in addition, is also to request funding of $833,472 to actually fund the program. Now we'll get into kind of the details of the program. So this is it's designed to incentivize commercial property owners, business owners within the North Greenwood CRA, and to invest into building, structural, and site improvements by offering grants up to $75,000. This program aims to basically enhance the visual appeal and functionality of the area, stimulate economic growth, and create a business-friendly environment for the North Greenwood Community Redevelopment Area. So the objectives are basically to implement the Community Redevelopment Area Plan, promote commercial development in the area, reduce blight, which our plan is to, our CRAs are to reduce and eliminate slum and blight, and create value by creating a welcoming atmosphere for basically the city of Clearwater into the North Greenwood area. So again, this grant is for up to $75,000. It can be basically pursued by property owners or business owners. Obviously, if you're a business owner and you don't own the properties, then you have to produce documents basically showing that you have site control through a valid lease agreement or some kind of affidavit from the property owner or other documentation that's legally acceptable to our city attorney's office. One of the things we did is we did listen to the community as far as that difficulty of access to capital for the North Greenwood area. In addition, there was a poverty study done for the area that I kind of read about before the creation of the CRA area that kind of showed that the North Greenwood area is one of the lowest income areas, if not the lowest income areas, and struggling locations with slum and blight in the entire Pinellas County. And one of the criteria, one of the comments or many comments that were made is access to capital. So what we did is we created what's called a legacy grant, a legacy credit into the program. So if you've been a property owner or a business owner for a number of years, then your matching requirement can start going lower and lower, and I can kind of go into that if you have questions on it. In addition, and this idea actually came from interviewing one of the council members up here, was that instead of just making these handouts, they had to put skin in the game. And one way to do that is, instead of them, their skin in the game being money, is for them to go volunteer in the North Greenwood area. So we did build a community service credit up to 50% of the match that can be waived through that community service. The community service will have to be done within the North Greenwood Community Redevelopment Area through recognized not-for-profits. So it can be the coalition, it can be HEP, or it can even be a school, or even the city potentially. So some of the eligible improvements would be interior work, as far as permanent interior work, like HVAC systems, electrical, plumbing, fire suppression, ADA improvements, historical improvements, and more. Exterior improvements as well, for instance, wall repair, roofing, signage, landscaping, and even a little bit of outdoor seating area. But of course, the city does have a commercial grant program already out there, so any of those improvements that are doable under the facade grant, they wouldn't be done under this. But this could complement it, and we can just have synergy between those two programs and just make change out there in the North Greenwood area. Right now, we have it as a Tier 1 and Tier 2. Tier 1 would be up to $30,000 that the CRA director would approve. Anything that exceeds $30,000, then it would come to the trustees, but you have the right to allow me to just go ahead and approve all of them to make the grant programs move quicker, but if you wish, then it can remain as anything above $30,000 comes to you. And obviously, some of the requirements we have, there would have to be pre-application meetings and notarized affidavits if required. They have to provide their plans, their business plans, itemized budgets, estimates from at least 3 contractors to do the work. That protects them and that protects us. So, for instance, if you just get one estimate, it could be pretty high, but if we get multiple estimates, then we can compare and see which one is the best. The lowest quote might not be the best, but at least we protect each other. As far as disbursement of funds, again, we did listen to the community, so instead of just making it a grant that we reimburse at the end, they have the option to draw from that grant if I approve it. And the project would have to be completed within 365 days of approval, then maintained in accordance to our policies. And the fiscal impact would be, overall for the program, would be $833,472 for this program. So if approved today, we do have a communications and engagement plan ready to go as far as social media, flyers, setting up community meetings, and just distributing this information to the community. So with that, staff is recommending approval and to move forward with this program. And I'm open for questions.
Is there any discussion or questions? Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment, not necessarily a question. This has been needed for a long time. I'm glad that this is going forward. Went to a community meeting last week, and this falls right in line with what everybody was saying that they really needed in that community. So I'm happy that we can offer this, and I'm really looking forward to seeing some things happening up there. So, thanks.
Mr. Mino?
Yeah, I just want to, Jesus, commend you and staff for being open and recognizing the capital challenges that many in our community are faced with. And in doing that and instituting the community service credits to help them on the grant side. I think that's a wonderful idea and a great way to help some of our community stakeholders to get started and to make those necessary changes. I think Habitat for Humanity says it best in our community when they say they're trying to institute a hand up and not just a handout. And I think that's what you're doing by defining skin in the game. It'll lead to a more successful program in the community. So I commend you on that.
Okay, I
And
would
if I
agree
may,
with what the others, yeah.
One more thing for the record, I forgot to say, the funding is not through increment funding. For instance, if the program is continued past the general fund that we do have in place, then we would have to get the permission of Pinellas County to use their increment funds. Just want to put it out there for the record. The funding we're requesting here is the funding that we already have through general fund.
Just getting ready to say, I agree with the comments that they've made just prior. For me, this engagement part of it is where it's really the most important, that I've seen over the years with the downtown portion of the CRA. That's where it's been a little challenging for us, is that sometimes it's looked a little bit too complicated for folks to fill out the forms and make the application to participate. So I really think that communication that you talked about there at the end, explaining to folks what the program entails, how to get involved, that's a really important piece of it. Because many, not just this CRA, but throughout Clearwater, small business folks, they just really are sometimes I'd say stymied by the application process, or looks more intimidating to them. So certainly engagement, I think, is very important, and I think it will be an important part of this being successful. Does anyone here from the public wish to speak to item 4.1? Okay.
Gotcha.
Enough
Seeing
said.
none, is there a
Enough
motion?
said.
Motion to approve agenda item 4.1.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Move to item 4.2, approve the residential exterior improvement grant program within the North Greenwood Community Redevelopment Area and authorize the appropriate officials to execute same.
Thank you again. Jesus Nino for the record. This is a request for approval for the residential exterior improvement grant program for the North Greenwood Community Redevelopment Area, and also to seek approval for an allocation of $400,000 to fund the program. Again, this funding is out of the general fund that we have for the area and not through increment funds. In the future, if we continue this program after this funding is exhausted, then we would make sure that we partner up with Pinellas County to be able to use those future increment funds. This is an exterior improvement program. This is designed also as a matching grant of up to $20,000 for improvements to single-family homesteaded homes. And again, this is for low-income individuals up to 120% area median income or 120% AMI. And that's straight in alignment with our community redevelopment area plan that calls for affordable housing and calls for basically the lower AMIs to receive assistance, because North Greenwood area is one of the highest poverty areas in Pinellas County. In the future, we can extend this program to, if we have increment funds, past individuals that are the lower AMIs or to even potential rental properties. But right now, we want to target the areas that are really struggling. And some of these properties may also have code enforcement issues that the property owner has not had the funds to correct. This program will allow them to make those corrections. So this program is, again, it's an alignment to implement our community redevelopment area plan. So if you're looking at the program, you can see that in the purpose and intent, we do basically stress and point out the areas of the plan that are being implemented by this program. So this program is, one of the things, again, like the other program, is skin in the game. Because these low-income individuals, they don't have their matching portion. Is that we built in here the credit as well for volunteer service, so they can go and volunteer at not-for-profits, and once they satisfy that, then we can basically help them 100% with the funding, or at least as written in the grant program. And in addition, the volunteer service, it helps us eliminate slum and blight way quicker in the community. It also forms partnerships and it forms relationships. So once you start volunteering at a not-for-profit, sometimes it just creates that synergy throughout. People just take ownership of their own community and improve the area quicker. So with that, staff is recommending approval of this program and to move forward to implement the program. And again, like the other one, we do have a communications plan in place, ready to hit the street basically tomorrow.
Any questions or comments regarding agenda item 4.2?
So after attending several of these community engagement events, I guess, I've heard consistently this message of this need of pride of the appearance of their residences and their community. So I commend the CRA for being responsive to what's been communicated to us, and I think that the implementation plan is great. So thank you.
Just a quick question, Jesus, on the community service credit. Do we as a staff recommend certain nonprofits that are approved to work with that have those systems in place, or is this carte blanche to a homeowner to find any nonprofit on their own within that community?
There is a list of not-for-profits that we have, and we're continuing to seek out not-for-profits, legit ones out there that we think are legit, that are also tax exempt, because anyone can create a not-for-profit. We just want to make sure that they're legit ones. But for instance, the city's housing advisory committee recently, they kind of presented some of the not-for-profits that are receiving CDBG funds. Those are potential not-for-profits that these individuals can go and volunteer at. Like HEP, Coalition, there's several out there.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on item 4.2? So anyone here from the public desire to speak with regard to item 4.2?
I didn't know I could speak now, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. This really didn't require me to speak, but I just want to say thank you. I get a lot of calls from people when they're going through challenges in the community. Got chills just thinking about this one. I couldn't imagine living in a home, and the fact that I go to work every day as well. And I live in a home where the roof is leaking and I don't have the funds to repair it. The bed that I sleep in, it leaks in the bed that I sleep in. My plumbing in my bathtub, it's open where rodents are coming in. And then when I get those calls and it's like, but now, because things are changing, I want to tell you, I really appreciate you all supporting this. I thank you, Jesus, and your team and your staff who have worked on this. And I just wanted to say that. Just wanted to say thank you all so very much.
Anyone else from the public desire to speak to item 4.2?
Hi, I'm 520, 522, and 528 Cleveland Street. I basically just want to echo her words. Thank you so much for really taking a look in the community, and I'm starting to hear the conversation be more directed to problems that face everyday citizens and everyday businessmen in the downtown community. The change that has happened in the city in the last year has been honestly awe-inspiring for me. I've seen all city council members walk the streets of downtown, partake in the businesses, and start to see the problems that are so prevalent there. We have great people in the CRA now that communication went from an email and a lost phone call to attention to detail, to camaraderie, through friendship, through friendly banter. It's something that ties our community together and makes us feel not only proud to be part of and be called a citizen of Clearwater, but proud to be an American, proud to see the American dream flourishing, proud to see the politicians care about the everyday citizens and the people that make this country great. I thank you. That's it.
Anyone else here desire to speak to item 4.2? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve item 4.2.
I move to approve agenda item 4.2.
Second.
All those in favor?
Okay.
Opposed? Unanimous. This time we move to item 4.3, amend the North Greenwood Community Redevelopment Area Citizens Advisory Committee policy and authorize the appropriate officials to execute same.
Thank you. This is a request from staff to amend Section 7 of the policies attached there to your items for the existing North Greenwood Community Redevelopment Area for the Citizens Advisory Committee, basically to amend Section 7, the initial terms of CAC members. The issue was that the expiration dates, and we don't even have the CAC in place just yet. They're coming to you for City Council, as you were that City Council for approval within the next month. In addition, Pinellas County is approving their 2 members. So if all those members get approved, then you would have to quickly do the approval process all over again. So we're just amending some of the dates in Section 7. For the 2 members shall serve initial terms that expire on September 30th from 2024, amended to 2025. Then 2 members shall serve initial terms that expire September 30th, amended from 2025 to 2026. Then 1 member shall serve an initial term that expires September 30th, 2026, amend that to 2027. With that, staff is recommending approval of the proposed amendments.
Any questions or comments regarding agenda item 4.3? Does anyone here from the public desire to speak to item 4.3? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve item 4.3?
Move to approve agenda item 4.3.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Move to item 4.4, approve a business renovation grant for the Nash Keys located at 520 Cleveland Street, Captain's Lounge located at 522 Cleveland Street, and Prelude Sports Bar located at 528 Cleveland Street in an amount not to exceed $900,000, and authorize the appropriate officials to execute same.
Thank you. This item is, in my opinion, I think it's very needed. We struggle in the downtown to fill vacant units. In addition, we all know that small businesses around the United States, the first year, even the first 2 years, it's very difficult to succeed. Small businesses really struggle to succeed within their first and 2 years. So this grant is a recommendation from staff to approve of $900,000 to the Nash Keys Dueling Piano Bar and Restaurant Development Projects. They're on the Cleveland Street area. And this grant would basically go back to a little bit retroactive from the issuance of the original permits that the business owner is seeking certificate of completion, certificate of occupancy. What happens too is that a lot of individuals find out about our grants a little bit late in the game, so they're already deep into construction. Then their neighbor tells them we have a grant in place, and then they come before us and we say, well, we can only approve you from the date of approval. So any work they've done, it's on them. So one of the things we've learned from listening to these business owners out there is that the grant should be from the issuance of the primary permit that they're seeking certificate of completion, a certificate of approval from, a certificate of occupancy from. And we did vet this through the city attorney's office, and they said it is doable, and it is doable in other communities around Florida too, so it's nothing completely new. But this grant funding would be up to $900,000, and it would be for the interior work and some of the exterior work for permanent improvements to these 3 units there in the Cleveland Street area. With that, staff is recommending approval, and we do have the business owner here. If you have any questions, he can also answer them. And I'm here for questions as well.
Questions?
I am thrilled that we're being flexible. This gentleman has been working for years on these businesses, and I like that the staff is being responsive instead of doing retroactively, instead of being adamant about when waiting for the initial approval process. So I commend being responsive to the needs out there. So thank you.
Questions, comments?
And just making a comment, I second that. I do appreciate the flexibility. I also want to comment that there has been some concern stated in the community that the current landlord has set a past example of at times finding funding, new business owners like the ones we have here investing in the business, and then rent becomes unaffordable within that first year or just after, and then we're stuck with empty storefronts again. I just wanted to commend our business owners that are here, that with respect to that, they did responsibly sit in front of that landowner and negotiate terms up to 10 years of a lease that locked them in to that agreed upon rate at, I believe it was $24 a square foot, if I'm correct with that. So I want to commend them as business owners on negotiating that responsibly to help give us some stability down there and keep pushing their passion. So greatly appreciate what they're doing to fight for our downtown.
I'll also not only echo, but follow suit with what Lena had said too. I'm grateful for the flexibility that this board has shown, that staff has shown, because I think that it's companies like these that show the promise that is Clearwater. They show the passion, the drive. And then hopefully through word of mouth, through seeing that, through getting foot traffic, we get others down here, right? That's the hope and the dream. So very excited about this and happy.
Anyone else? Yeah, I'll just say, I told, I don't think the president, but I told one of the reporters the other day that, if the way this investment that these folks have made in these properties to try to revitalize this part of downtown Clearwater, the most important path to success for them is for the community to get behind them and for us to go down there and use their businesses and help make their business and tell all of our friends and to really get behind them. And they did a wonderful job with the new property, which we were in here for ribbon cutting here at the Nash Keys here recently. We need to do more than go to ribbon cuttings and tell them how great the place looks. We need to get behind them as a community. If we want our downtown to be more dynamic, to thrive, then the community and the city And citizens have to make a decision that we're going to help them be successful. And so I think all of us up here want to do our part to do that, but, and encourage the rest of the community to also help them make it successful. So with that, is there anybody here from the public that desires to speak to item 4.4?
Mr. Mayor, City Council, I'm Bill Johnson, 2694 Redford Court West in Clearwater. I couldn't resist the opportunity to pile on to second the comments that this board has already made. I saw the agenda and went, whoa, that's a problem area, and so shared a concern with you. Mr. Nino responded very promptly, and I appreciate that. And so Saturday evening about 8:15, I went, well, I wonder if there's anybody attending. And the person at the door said, we're full up. Do you have a reservation? No, I didn't have a reservation. I was just dropping in. But they allowed me to stand kind of in the corner for a little bit, and I enjoyed it greatly. This, as you say, this is a good future opportunity, and I thank the city for finding support for it.
Anyone else here desire to speak to item 4.4?
Again, Nash Keys 520, 522, and 528. Again, it's just to say thank you, and that it's my goal and my promise to fill up what I can fill up in the downtown area. You guys are not only investing into Nash Keys, you guys are investing into two guys that do not give up. I will stop at nothing to make sure that downtown is one of the most thriving areas in Florida. I'm working actively now on bringing a brewery down to the corner unit. Now the last vacancy in the 500 block. That's something that we've wanted for so long as a community. I've wanted since I've been here, and I know if you guys have wanted it longer. So with that last piece, we will have completed full occupancy in the 500 block. As you see, people, and all of you guys have been to Nash Keys. After our opening, we have been full. People have coming down and talking about the downtown and trying to take it back for our community, for the people who've lost it, for the citizens that have been here the whole time and seen it change to what it is now. But we are here, and we're not going to stop until it's done and it's full. And that's something that I promise.
I'm Robert Cepeda. Thank you all for your consideration, and we look forward to continuing growing with the downtown community. It's such an opportunity. We see it. We think the community wants it, and we'll continue on and striving forward.
Thank you guys so much.
Anyone else here from the public desire to speak to item 4.4? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
Well, I'm honored to make this motion and look forward to making more motions like this in the future. So I'll make a motion to approve item 4.4.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. It's time to move to item 5.1 on the agenda, Community Redevelopment Agency Director's Report.
I did want to announce that there is going to be a soft opening for the Sports Network for all sports. What is it called here? I'm sorry. This is a sports bar and lounge over at 1409 Cleveland Street. This is going to be a soft grand opening on July 20th, 2024 at 11 a.m. So all of you are invited to attend, including the city manager's office. I'll be there, but this is very exciting for the gateway area of the downtown. So anytime we do get businesses that we help with our grant funding, we want to celebrate those grand openings. Even if we don't help them with grant funding, we want to celebrate the opening of any business in our downtown. So one more time for the community here, if you can see it, I know it's not the best flyer, but this is the flyer that was provided to us by the business owner. Hopefully you can see it. And then as far as the department, we do have an extraordinary opportunity. Right now, I'm also the interim director for the Economic Development and Housing Department. So as opportunities there is that we have talented staff in the other departments. So we're trying to integrate the CRA staff with the economic development staff and the housing staff and the DDB staff, which all of us, just to be a family and just produce way more for the downtown and for the entire city of Clearwater. But the talent that we have over there combined with our talent in the CRA, we're going to become extremely hyper-local in the downtown. So we're going to start targeting aggressively the vacant units. We're going to start targeting the existing property owners and business owners, approaching them, seeing how we can help them, see what kind of issues they're facing, roadblocks or whatever it may be, see how we can just help them become more successful as small business owners, and just listen to them and bring back that feedback to the city, and hopefully changes can happen from that feedback. But we're excited in that opportunity, and I think the staff is also excited as well. Another thing that's happening too is that I kind of recognize some of the talent over in economic development. They have access to systems that I wish we had over in the CRA. So instead of now subscribing to certain subscriptions like CoStar or whatever it may be, is some of that data that we need, we can start getting from the economic development staff. For instance, vacancy rates for the downtown, and we can just put a polygon around certain areas on the map, and we can get certain stats that we need to basically create more change in the downtown and the rest of the city. So as far as the downtown updates, I do want to recognize the staff for all the hard work they've been doing on keeping up with projects that we have in the queue. For instance, the Mercado, I'm very big on the triple constraints, which is your scope, your budget, and basically your schedule. So if any of those things on the schedule, on the triangle, get messed with, and the entire thing gets out of whack. So I'm keeping up with staff to make sure they're working with Public Works to make sure that project is on schedule, and so far it is, and on budget, so far it is, and hopefully it stays that way with no additional or no scope creep or anything like that. But we do have some public art that's going to be going to that plaza in the future as well. So once we get those updates from staff, we'll bring it to you as well, and all of you have some of the slides there in front of you. And we did have a groundbreaking over at the Archway, and I thank all of you for showing up. One of the things that I did recognize is that the city's Affordable Housing Advisory Committee wasn't present, and I don't think most of them were aware of it. So I did promise to them that anytime we do have affordable housing projects, that because they are the advisory group for the city, that they're invited to affordable housing groundbreakings, ceremonies, or whatever it may be. And as far as crime stats, we do have crime stats that are coming to you every month, and we'll try to have those into graphs so you can start seeing if they're going up or down. And we'll have that in future reports. Then the Nash Keys, I thank you all for showing up to that grand opening. See it there? And also Olive and Dime, we want to celebrate that they're also open for business, so please go have your lunch there. They got great food for the rest of the community as well, right there in Cleveland Street at 520 Cleveland Street. This is a plug for the community out there. They got great food. Please go and eat lunch there. And then also we did approve some business renovation grants out in the community. One that we want to highlight is, can't even say the name, Tatwisi Food Inc. That's Olive and Thyme. That's their business name. But we did approve them with our grant funding, so we want to spread the word that we still have grant funding. With that, staff, the director's report is concluded.
Okay. Questions for the director?
So we're all thrilled with the new businesses, right? Nash Keys, Olive and Thyme, so I want to welcome them to downtown. I have spoken, however, to several business owners from the 600 block who have informed me that they have been asked to leave in the next 30 to 90 days. So I would like to thank the staff who have gone out there and offered your support and your help in that transition. I think that's great to be that involved and engaged and be such an important part of that process. So thank you.
I did meet with the property owners, business owners on Friday, and Lopez and myself, plus we now formed a business response team for the downtown, which is composed of staff from economic development and CRA. They were out there last week as well. Two of the business owners did indicate that they were asked to leave, but that was rescinded. But we're working with them to find them a new location because they do want to move to other locations here in the downtown. So that's the great thing about it, on the Cleveland Street, one of them. So we're working with that particular business owners to, once he does secure a lease, to work with them with grant funding.
Yeah, I just have a couple questions. Thank you, and for your outreach and being proactive on that. Do we have an idea as staff on why or what the plans are with this block? Has there been any permits pulled for renovations or anything like that?
I've met with some business owners, and two of them indicated that no one has said anything to them as far as they have to vacate the space. It was only two particular business owners, the vape shop and I forget the other one's name, but they were asked they had to vacate their units. They're on a month-to-month lease because they're renovating the building they're in. So there is a construction foreman out there that's basically doing his thing.
Thank you.
I don't know the plans.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else?
I just wanted to add, the conversations I had with at least three from separate owners did not have a clear idea as to why. There was nothing written. And 2 out of the 3 were on month to month. So they're looking at this as a sign of instability, right? Having to run a business on month to month is very challenging. But there was no clear idea, at least in my communications with those 3, as to what was happening in the timeline. The only timeline that they received was 30 to 90 days to leave.
Well, I'm just wondering if write a letter to the owners of the property and ask them what their plan is. I mean, they're in a CRA and they're in a DDB, and I think that everybody ought to contribute economically to that area. So if they're not doing that, why?
And we do have a business response team on the case. They haven't concluded their research out there, but I can tell you the bottom line is that we're going to provide great customer service to those businesses and help them aggressively find units, if that's the case, that they have to move out of their unit now, to find a new location here in the downtown and with any possible grants. So we'll do our best to make sure that we're business friendly.
I might layer in a couple things. One, it's important we don't overreact. I mean, we don't know what their intentions are for 600 block. It turns out maybe they have rescinded, I guess, on a couple of these moving. It's difficult for small business owners, particularly on Cleveland Street, to operate their business without on a month-to-month lease. So that situation is not really good for those small business owners, and I can understand their interest in looking for other locations based upon that. The landlord's unwillingness to do anything longer than that. Certainly, we've got the 400 block because of the Capitol Theater. We've had some restaurants very successful there. That's probably our most successful stretch of that entire street, all the way up to Gulf to Bay. 500 block, we're hopeful with 3 new ones that we've got there. If the community gets behind them, like we've talked about, and then Soul Fusion's very successful there too, and this new Olive and Thyme restaurant, which we hope is, I ate there the other day, it's really, really good. Hopefully we're getting some momentum there. The 600 block has been, this isn't breaking news. This has been a struggling block for a very long time. We all know on the south side of that street, a lot of those buildings from the exterior, I've not been in any of them, but they appear to be in significant disrepair, as well as some of the the building on the south side of the 500 block. So I don't know if we can read too much into, what's happening with these 2 or 3 businesses there in the 600 block, and I'd want to know more about it before we potentially overreacted or we got too upset about what supposedly has or hasn't happened with these particular businesses. But to go back to what Mr. Nino said earlier, talked with the city manager, and she and I agreed a month or 2 ago that we needed to do a really good inventory of all of our properties that we feel are either vacant or underutilized throughout the city of Clearwater, not just in the CRA. We need to know, and I'm encouraged to hear what he has already done by going to these property owners of the CRA. I sent him one the other day, a business owner on Court Street, had some questions and encouraged him to reach out to them to get to know them and their situation better. But I think we need a better understanding citywide of what our opportunities are. But that includes the CRA, and that includes all these downtown properties. We need to know what the property owner's intention is for making them active. We don't have to agree but we need communication with every one of these property owners to find out what their plans are, and if we can help them in some way make them thrive, then we'll make them thrive. But we first need to know who owns them and what's their situation is, and do a good inventory and analysis of that. So I believe we're in the process of doing that. And we're catching up a bit because we've had maybe not quite such a good inventory in the past, but that's our goal. But I'm encouraged by what you've said this morning. You're already being more proactive, reaching out. What's the deal? What can we do? And I think over time that will go a long way in not just helping certain businesses and locations, but also encouraging more overall dialogue about what property owners are doing with their properties to make the entire city thrive. Okay. Any other questions for the director? Seeing nothing else to come before the Community Redevelopment Agency, this time we'll adjourn the meeting.